Good morning, my beautiful souls, for another episode of the Sacred Roots podcast. Today, we're going to get personal. Today, we're going to get spiritual. Today, we're going to get mystical. I hope you're ready for it. So, in the past 3 to 4 months, I have been in a kind of incubation. I still am somehow, even though I have much more clarity now. As my soul, life, spirit, the universe has been asking me to expand even more, but also come back even more to who I really am at my core. And so I want to share that with you because I really believe that you can all benefit from that story, how I navigated with all these things that came up, and how you can also really align with your soul as a result of it. At the end of this little story, I'm going to really share with you a bit of a summary of how you can let your soul take the lead and really show you the way. And then I also have a prayer that I have written that I am going to share with you so that you can call in the infinite, limitless power of your higher self. I don't really like the word power, to be honest, because power really has this notion of control, influence, kind of even manipulation over other people. As the truth is that your soul is this amazing sovereign frequency. And it's tricky because when I say it's that amazing sovereign frequency, it's as if it was outside of you. But the truth is that it is inside of you. You have that amazing sovereign frequency inside of you, deep down. But sometimes we've disconnected from it by disconnecting from ourselves, by trying to fit in, by disconnecting from nature. And it feels as if it was outside of you. But the truth is that it's all inside. And so the prayer that I wrote is really inviting you to remember that and re-experience that. All right. So a few months ago, I was in a place where I was filled with gratitude. My business had never been so successful. I mean, it still is. My business has never been as successful as what it is now. I'm making consistent 10 to 20K cash months. Being interviewed weekly for podcasts, having lots of inspiration for my own podcast. Receiving so much love from you all for my books, and really feeling that I'm in a place where I am truly in alignment. And so it's been really fun to actually be in that space and to be able to create because I can, and really having work as play, feeling like play. Of course, let's be honest, I also put some pressure on myself. And sometimes I can go down the rabbit hole of, oh, I should do more, I should have more, I should achieve more, I should be more. Let's be honest, I'm still human. I still have an ego. I still want to achieve certain goals. But I would say that I'm really getting to a place where I'm doing it more out of fullness and pleasure rather than needingness, which is completely different, feels very different, and is much, much better. And so even though it looks like I have it all together when I'm saying all this, I am still sometimes put in a place where I feel there's more. And so a few months ago, I was launching a program, as you might have heard if you've been following me for some time, that was really a mix of business and spiritual mentoring for women entrepreneurs. And it's going on right now, and it's really beautiful, and we're having a lot of breakthroughs, and I'm really enjoying it. But there is a little but. As soon as I signed up everyone and we were going to start the next day, for some reason, I didn't feel the excitement that I usually feel when I launch my group programs. So I really asked myself, this is weird. This is my biggest launch ever. I have attracted amazing women entrepreneurs that I'm so happy to work with. I know we're going to create so much magic together. Why am I not experiencing the excitement that I thought I would experience, or the excitement that I would experience in the past when I was launching similar containers? So I really sat with that question, and it was almost a discomfort, which when you're trying to be in full alignment with your soul, you know that that discomfort is a sign that something is off. And so I was like, okay, I understand that this emotion is here to teach me something, so I'm going to sit with it. So I really sat with it, and was also guided by Makosi, the royal shaman that I'm working with. And she really asked me a powerful question, which was, what are you the most excited to talk about? And really, what lights you up the most? And I realized that this podcast and all the episodes that I'm recording and the books that I'm writing are interestingly not fully in alignment with the things that I'm teaching in my containers. And so this is where the discomfort was coming from. Because when I'm showing up here behind the screen, behind the microphone, talking from my heart, saying things that I wasn't even expecting to be saying, really just allowing myself to channel the wisdom that wants to come through me, I'm really fully in my element. And same when I write books. But I realized that some fears that I had were holding me back from actually also showing up with that same energy in the containers that I was creating. And the answer to the question, what are you the most excited to teach? And if I had only one thing to teach in the world, what would it be? That answer didn't come directly. I first sat in the discomfort of not knowing, the lack of clarity, also a bit of a tiredness of being like, oh my God, I'm evolving again. I'm changing again. I need to let go of something again to step into something more. When is the circle going to finish? Now I'm really embracing that as a 3-5 profile in human design. This is just how I function. And I am always looking for change and evolution. And our soul is always wanting to make us expand. So we just have to embrace that instead of resisting it and thinking that everything needs to be perfect black on white. Life is not like that. So that was, again, a beautiful reminder of that. But after a few days, I started realizing, or I would say remembering, that really what lights me the most up is to be a spiritual mother and to teach mystery teachings, really to talk about very spiritual concepts and ideas and be very out there. Yeah, absolutely. And so it was very interesting because I had that answer, but I didn't really know what that would look like still. I was like, okay, but what does that mean? How can I then change my business to make that the center of what I teach and who I am, because it's really who I am. And so I really asked for guidance. And when you want to step into more alignment and really have your soul lead the way, it's very important to ask for guidance, because our minds, they are always going to create things in the future based on the past. They are always going to envision the future based on what you have already seen around you. And so who you came here to be has never been before. You're absolutely unique. And so stepping into that person that you came here to be with your mind doesn't work, because your mind is focused on the past, who you were before, or what you have seen around you, other people. And because who you came here to be is not based on your past or other people, you cannot create that with your mind. You can only step into that purpose, because your purpose is who you came here to be, with your heart, your soul, your wisdom, your intuition. And so when you're in a space where you're wanting to rebirth yourself or expand, step into the next evolution, it's very important to actually let your soul take the lead. And so how do you do that? Well, you start with creating space. And so that is really what I did. I started with creating space, working less, resting more. Interestingly, I was also really, really tired because I just found out I have a big iron and B12 deficiency from postpartum that my body is not really recovering. And so I spent a lot of time resting, sleeping, reading, because I just didn't have so much energy to work on my business, actually. And so interestingly, my body was also aligned with that emotional, spiritual space I was in, which was really inviting me to slow down, to rest, and to create space so that I could hear my soul more. The second thing I would advise you to do when you do that is to know how your intuition is talking to you. Because once you have created the space, you need to be able to know when your intuition is talking to you, all right? So if you don't know really how your intuition is talking to you and you want to activate your intuition, I would invite you to re-listen to episode 2 of the Sacred Roots podcast, because I recorded a very beautiful, very structured, but also very simple episode explaining how your ego is talking to you and how your soul, your intuition is talking to you. Because these are very different voices. And once you understand how they express themselves, well, then it's much more easy, way easier to know when your intuition is expressing itself and then to follow it. The third thing that I did and that I would invite you to do is to have a dream journal, because your soul and your guides, your spirit squad, talks to you in your dreams. And I kind of see dream as night school, because I am taught a lot of things in my dreams. And the more you practice that and the more you set the intention to remember your dreams, the more you are going to remember them. And very often I wake up in the morning with very clear answers for where I'm at, what I need to let go of, where I should be going, and what I should be doing. So it's very cool, because I can sleep and then I wake up with answers that come from the spiritual realm. The fourth thing that I would invite you to do when you really want to have your soul take the lead and step into your purpose and who you came here to be is to ask for signs and direction. Because the more you ask, the more you're going to receive. We live in a world where we have free will, and our spirit guides, they're there because they want to help us. And they always want to support us, but because of our own free will, they can't intervene if we haven't asked for help. And so the more you ask for signs and clarity and direction, the more you're going to receive it. So I definitely did that. I definitely went to bed a few times telling my guides, okay, guides, if you want to give me clarity and a really clear answer in my dreams, go ahead, I'm ready for it. And it happens, and I will share more about that. And then the fifth thing that I did and that I want to share with you, if you really want to have a soul-led life, soul-led business, and really let your soul take the lead, is to be very, very mindful and very aware of your emotions, of how you're feeling, and what is making you feel like that, and what is making you experience joy, excitement, what is draining your energy. Basically being very, very connected to yourself and what you're experiencing. And if you're an empath as well, it's also very important to have that awareness, because you pick on other people's energy. So sometimes you're going to feel low or you're going to feel excited about something, but it's actually not your own fear or your own worry or your own excitement. It's someone else's. And I'm definitely a highly sensitive person and an empath. And so I pick on people's energy and the energy of the collective very easily. And it's very important for me to then check in with myself. Wait, is this emotion mine or is it someone else's? And if it's someone else's, to then have an emotional and energetical cleansing, because I don't want these emotions to stay stuck in my energy field and hang on to my aura. I'm pretty sure that most of you are empath and highly sensitive people. That's why you're probably drawn to my work and my energy. So if you don't have that yet, please do so. I think I recorded an episode of how to protect your energy field. I don't remember which number it is, but I'm pretty sure I did. If not, I also teach that in my 21 days of how to embody your divine feminine. It's a 21 days course with a lot of magic, a lot of wisdom, a lot of amazing things. And one of the days teaches all about how to protect your energy field and cleanse it. Okay, so now that I shared with you really the 5 things that I did, let's recap them. Create space, knowing how your intuition is talking to you, having a dream journal, asking for signs and direction, and being very mindful and aware of the emotions that you're experiencing. Once you really do these 5, the magic is really going to start to happen, which is really cool. And I'm going to share with you my story and how it all unfolded, so you can see those 5 things in a practical, real life story, my story. So I was sharing with you how I sat with that question. If I had one thing to teach, then I am aware now, I remember now that it is all about spiritual teachings and how to come back to your soul and embody your soul. So I had that information, but I didn't really know what it was going to look like for my business. And I remember one day sitting in meditation and feeling drawn to my Isis oracle deck. And so I laid it down and I picked up the card of the High Priestess. And that card was beautiful because it was reminding me of my own essence as a High Priestess. But the message in that card was also saying, more of your purpose is going to be revealed to you very soon. So I was like, okay, I felt that I was onto something here, but now I have a confirmation. And so I then really surrendered to the process because as I'm teaching to you right now, I knew that I couldn't create that process myself from my mind. I really had to surrender to the signs, the guidance, the encounters, the synchronicities, the dreams, and all of that. So after pulling up that card of the High Priestess, I really surrendered. And I was like, okay, Spirit, I'm all in. You take the lead. And it took me, this whole process took me 3 months. You know, it's not something that happens overnight. But after that, a few days later, I think a week later, I went to bed and I said very clearly, I said out loud to my guides, all right, guides, if you want to give me some clarity in my dream, go ahead, I'm ready for it. And so I woke up in the morning with a very clear sentence, and it said, a school of witches. So I was like, ooh, cool. I like that. So if you like, you know, I know that the word witch is a very heavy word and it has a lot of associations with it. But for me, the way I hear the word witch, it's really a woman that is fully in her power, in her beauty, in her body, in her sensuality. She's very tapped in. She's living a life that is led by her intuition. And she's not afraid to be visible for who she is and to express and share her gifts with the world. So that is my definition. And I know that that is what Spirit meant when she gave me that very clear message in my dream when I woke up. And so basically, we're all witches. We're all women that are very tapped in, that are intuitive, that have a very high and strong purpose, that are here to serve others with our gifts, and that need to let go of our fears so that we can fully be visible and seen for the talented, gifted woman that we are. For me, that really is a gift. And that's why I'm so passionate about the work that I do, because I love to help women come back to who they are, remember who they are, step into who they came here to be, and share their talents and gifts with the world and be seen for it. I think it's so important. That's what life is about, really, to me. So when I had then that message of School of Witches, I was like, ooh, this is cool. And this is reminding me of something I already experienced in my life twice. Suddenly, two memories that I had pushed back very far away came back. And that first memory is that when I went to a mystery school in Quebec, an energy healing school, in one of our last sessions, we received our vibrational name. And the name of my soul, my vibrational name, is Sumita. And Sumita means the one who takes care of the crib and looks after life. And it took me a while to really understand what that meant. And I asked some guidance to the main healer and teacher of the school. And she really said to me, it means you're taking care of those who are awakening, remembering who they truly are, having a spiritual awakening, and helping them step into who they came here to be, but also be channels for life. Because looking after life, for me, it means allowing every woman to be a vessel for life, so that life, because life and spirit are two synonyms, so that spirit can flow through us, for us, but for others. And so it's not just life of like the physical life of birthing babies, but birthing ideas. And mostly now I'm understanding a deeper layer to it, because we are right now in a very chaotic time before there is a new order that can settle. And so it's also being a spiritual mother for the new earth that is being birthed right now, because we are in a rebirthing process. And when you look at the rebirthing process, there's, you're in the womb, the baby's in the womb, there's a lot of pressure first in the womb, and you can't really see the light at the end of the tunnel. And then the baby goes to the vaginal canal and sees the light, doesn't really know what's on the other side, but there's a little bit of hope. And so the baby keeps going down, 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 and then suddenly, poof, the baby is being born. And that is the process that we are going through on a collective level and on a personal level, because those are always related. On a collective level right now, there's a lot of pressure. We've just had 2 years of lockdowns, pandemics, rules being very limited, not being able to do everything we wanted, having lots of our plans and projects canceled because of what was happening on the planet. And so there was a lot of pressure. And now we're kind of starting to go through the birth canal. We see a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, but we don't really know what it looks like. We see people that are building that new earth. We see communities that are showing up. People are much more connected to themselves as well. A lot of people have quit their job because they didn't feel aligned anymore. Maybe this is you. And so we are all really about to be reborn. And there's a whole new earth, a whole new society that is about to be reborn. It is not going to happen overnight. It is going to take time, like it always does, but that's okay. If it happens on a personal level, in each and every one of you, it is going to happen much faster on a collective level. And this is where I show up as Sumita, the one that takes care of the crib and looks after life. I'm helping you through that rebirth process. And once you realize that you're reborn, I'm helping you have the right knowledge, the right tools to become a child, a teenager, and an adult in that new life. It's an image. Of course, you're already an adult, but really in that awakening and remembering actually of who you truly are. And so I remembered that I was given that name and that the teacher then said to me, you are going to do that through opening your own mystery school. And I remember at the time being like, yeah. Oh, okay. One day when I'm much older and I have more experience and more knowledge, whatever, it felt like a very far away goal or far away reality. It wasn't even really a goal to me, and then I, put that conversation in the corner of my head and I never really thought about it anymore. And then the second memory that I was reminded of when I woke up from that dream that told me the School of Witches is that when I received the teachings from my book, The Path of Femininity, if you have read The Path of Femininity in the introduction, I share how the 6 gifts and the title of the book were given to me in the middle of the night. Not in the dream this time. I was really woken up and had a conversation with light beings. If you want to know the whole story, you'll have to read the introduction of the book. But what I didn't share in the book, in the introduction, because it didn't really belong there, is that at the end of that transmission, they actually told me that I was going to teach all of that in a mystery school. And that I was going to open a mystery school after I would have published the book. So timing is coinciding because I published a book in November and then now we're in May and I'm having all these realizations. And so I guess you see where I'm going with all this. But still, for some reason, it wasn't clear to me at the time. Or maybe I would say I didn't want to see it. I was like, okay, I get it. I'm supposed to open a mystery school. But what am I going to teach there? And who am I to open a mystery school? And do I know enough? And this is such a big responsibility. And da 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 da. So it was a whole initiation process for me to actually see myself for who I really am and my own gifts and my own talents and the fact that I am fully able, I don't know if able is the right word, but fully tapped in or tapped in enough to be able to be the founder of a mystery school and be the main teacher of a mystery school. So that was very interesting because it really gave me clarity on those fears that had been holding me back for so long and that were actually keeping me in my comfort zone. And the reason why I didn't have these breakthroughs earlier, because I was actually very afraid to step into that soul purpose because it's who I came here to be. And part of me really knew that. And your ego is afraid of that. And so you're always going to feel fear. When you're letting your soul take the lead, you're always going to feel fear. And I think it's very important to say that because it is not something that a lot of people talk about. People usually say, oh, when you're aligned, it feels good and it's playful and abundance and joy and effortless and da 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 da. All these things do happen. It's true. But before you actually get there, there is a lot of fear because your ego is going to create that fear because you're stepping out of your comfort zone. You're stretching yourself. You're stepping into something more, something new, the unknown. And your soul is guiding you. So there's a part of you that feels good, but the biggest part of you, your ego, most of the time, doesn't feel really good and is kind of freaking out. So if you have a project right now and you feel that this is part of your calling and you're freaking out and it's scary and you have all these reasons coming up in your head for not doing it, it kind of means you're on the right path. You have to learn to not give power to those voices, not give power to those thoughts, not give power to the fear. Because fear, actually, what it really means, fear means expansion. Fear means growth. And that happens out of the comfort zone. And so the beautiful thing that happened then is that I was understanding I had to open a mystery school, step into that role, remembering all those messages that I received in the past and was receiving, but still wasn't very clear on what exactly I was going to teach. I had an idea, feminine embodiment for sure, but I felt there was more. And then an amazing other thing happened. Two more things happened actually. And the next thing that happened is that I was on holidays, beginning of April. So this is all very recent, as you are hearing. Beginning of April, I was on holidays in the Sunshine Coast here in BC, Canada. And we go to a bakery in the morning to get some nice bread and croissant. And it's a bakery where you can also sit down and have breakfast or lunch. It's kind of like a bakery cafe. And we are there, and I am queuing with Benji. And Benji is kind of jumping out of my arms, if we can say like that, and going to tables and touching people's feet and playing with people. And because he's a super cute baby, of course, everyone's like, oh, that's so fun. And I'm just letting him crawl around because he has a lot of energy and sometimes he doesn't like staying in mommy's arms. He needs to move around a bit. So I let him crawl around. And then he is starting to have a kind of conversation with a couple. And so I take my croissant, my bread, and then I go to him and I have that, I start talking actually with that couple. And they were actually from Squamish, where I am also living right now, but they were traveling. And we actually started having a super interesting conversation to the point where she's like, wow, your work is fascinating to me. I would love to have a copy of your book. It's really resonating to me. And then I say, oh, well, I actually have a copy in the car. If you want, I can go and give it to you. She's like, yeah, of course, I would love to. So I go and grab a copy of my book. It's always funny to like kind of do business on holidays when it's so flowy and unexpected. And then I give her a copy of my book. And when I give her the copy of my book, she says, do you actually also guide people? Do you teach that? I would love to know more about how you work with people. And then I said to her, yeah, I'm gonna open a mystery school. And I surprised myself because I said it with so much conviction, even though maybe it felt to me that I wasn't so convinced about it before. But when I met her in that moment and she told me what she needed, what she was going through, and if I could help her, it was very clear to me. The words just came out of my mouth before I could think. I said, yeah, I'm opening a mystery school in September and I'm going to help women do this and this and this and this and this. And she was like, oh, wow, let's stay in touch. And so in that moment, meeting that woman completely out of the blue, we went back to the bakery every morning. I can assure you, I didn't have any encounters like that the other days. And for some reason, Benji wasn't playing with people as much. He was really sent by my spirit squad. And babies are always super tapped in, so it's really cool. And meeting her and understanding where she was at in her life and what she needed really gave me clarity on what I was super excited to teach in the mystery school. And so that was amazing. I had a whole like eureka epiphany moment. I remember we went back home after that and I took my journal and I started writing everything down, who it is for, what I'm going to teach, how I'm going to teach, how I'm going to lead women there. And suddenly the whole clarity fell on me thanks to that encounter. And then 4 days later, still during our holidays, but we were last day of our holidays, we were walking around the town and then see a spiritual store with books and crystals. And of course, I walk into the store because I'm always called to these stores to see if there's something, a new deck, a new book, something I could get. And there's a psychic that's there. And my husband says, oh, why don't we get a session, a 15-minute session each? It could be super fun. I'm like, oh, okay, why not? You go ahead. I'll see if I do one. And then he does it. He's really happy and excited. So I think, oh, well, why not? Like, I never go and see psychics. Why not? So I go there, and long story short, that was my fourth sign. We picked up an Egyptian deck, and she took cards that meant my childhood, my teenage years, adult years, the now and the future. And the card of the now, I was blown away. The card of the now was the Great Pyramid. And below the Great Pyramid, there was a drawing of the Great Pyramid. It said Great Pyramid, and below it, it said mystery and ceremony. And so she said to me, well, if you needed a sign that it is time to launch your mystery school, there you go. And I'm really receiving the message that this is one of the biggest projects you're ever going to do. And now you're really setting the foundation for that huge, great pyramid of your life that you're building. So I was like, okay. The message is clear. Thank you. Goodbye. And so I love to live that way because it becomes so easy when you actually allow yourself to fully surrender. But I mean, it's not always easy to surrender. If you want to know how to surrender, you can go back to episode 30 of the Sacred Roots podcast, where I explain my step-to-step guide to surrender, which is kind of funny to have a step-to-step guide to surrender, because surrendering is not really about steps, but because we live in a world that likes processes, I made that step-to-step guide for you to surrender, or help you surrender at least, because then spirit can really lead the way. And as you just heard from my story, I received messages everywhere, and I might have received more and I didn't see them. But through oracle decks, encounters, dreams, signs, emotions and sensations in my body, feelings, it is now crystal clear to me that I came here to do this and that it is time. The time is now, really. It's not for when I'm 40, 45, and I think I know more, or I am more, or I have experienced more. We have everything we need inside of ourselves. We came with that baggage and luggage when we were born. And so I am then officially announcing that I am opening the Sacred Roots Modern Mystery School in September. I am going to take 20 women to start with. I don't want to take more than that, but you'll hear more about it. And then I want to do another episode where I really explain to you what a mystery school is, where mystery schools come from, what you can expect from a mystery school. But in a nutshell, I'm really going to teach women how to remember who they came here to be, how to step into their purpose, how to be vessels for life so that they can allow spirit to work through them, for them, but also for others. Exactly like the story I just shared with you. That's a perfect example. And there's going to be a lot of teachings also around energy healing practices, emotional healing practices, because you need to be completely cleansed on a physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual level to be able to be tapped into your intuition, have that soul-led life, step into your purpose, and be that vessel, that channel for life. So I'm really excited. This is really part of the work of my life, but it's bringing together a lot of things that I have already taught, and a lot of new things as well that you have never heard me talk about. So the direction of this podcast is going to go even more spiritual in the direction of my work as well. So I was sharing with you at the beginning of this episode that I was going to share a prayer so that you can also step into your soul-led life, really have your soul take the lead. So I'm going to repeat that prayer to you. And then I'm going to share it on Instagram as well. If you want to follow me on the Sacred Roots podcast or on my account at Elie de Poisson, you're going to find that prayer that I'm just going to recite to you now. So you can close your eyes unless you're driving or anything. If you're walking or if you're at home, sit down and take a moment to close your eyes and take a big breath in. And exhale. Bring your awareness to your body, where you're sitting. My dear higher self, I am ready for you. I am ready for myself as we are one. Show me the path to the embodiment of my truest nature. Show me what I need to let go of. Show me what I have to surrender to and how I'm getting in my own way. I am ready to have you lead the way. Help me release what I don't even know I need to release. Help me create space to hear and feel you more. Help me slow down and align to my natural essence. Help me remember my inner and innate wisdom. I am ready to have you, me, lead the way. May I find radical self-acceptance, lift the fears that are holding me back, heal the wounds that are still bleeding, and step into who I came here to be. I am ready to lead myself with only love in my heart. Let that prayer sink in. And we are going to close this episode with the energy coming from this prayer. And if you are interested to learn more about the Sacred Roots Modern Mystery School, click the link in the show notes, as I am now officially opening the waitlist. Registrations will start in September, but you can already register on the waitlist to be the first to know about it. And sign up if you're interested. Oh, my loves, my darling, may you feel connected to your higher self, to your soul, and surrender to her and her path. I'll see you in the next episode.